One of the most powerful things you can do as a golfer is to learn how to take care of your body. Now, what do I mean by that? Besides eating good foods, getting good rest, exercising, using your mind effectively, what do I mean by taking care of your body? What I mean is dealing with your muscle imbalances that form because of the repetitive nature of the golf swing. See, it's important to know that with your muscles, if they get abused, disused, most importantly for this video, overused, then they will shorten and tighten. And under Davis's law, the opposite muscles on the other side of the joint are going to get lengthened for that, and you're going to have an imbalance with your muscles or in your joints when that happens. So in this video, let's talk about some of the main muscle imbalances a right-handed golfer could be experiencing. Now, if you're left-handed, just pretend everything I'm saying is left, but I'm going to talk a lot about the right-handed golfer. So because we stand on the same side of the ball in golf, and we repetitively, hopefully, make the same motion over and over again, to play good golf, you want to try to repeat the same motion. Some of the biggest muscle imbalances I see are, I'll start with one with your obliques. When our obliques work together, the external and internal oblique on the same side, they side bend us. So if I'm a right-handed golfer, my right internal and external oblique, if they fire together, they side bend us, along with a muscle in the back called the QL as well. So you can imagine in golf, if we're into our impact position, look how much side bend I have here in my impact position. Now everyone changes a little bit. The young man who just won last week, Jackson, pardon me, I don't know his last name, Kuvat or whatever, he has a ton of side bend down, and it's not a bad thing. He hits the ball great, but I can almost guarantee you that his two right obliques on his right side, or his QL, or all of them, they probably have more tension in them than the left side. Now over time, if I was to put you on a posture line or put him on a posture line without a shirt on, you could probably tell that he's getting pulled this way, or maybe not. Maybe he deals with that. But over time, what can happen from swinging and getting that right side bend at impact, our most powerful position, the right obliques can get tight. What that looks like is you can start to develop a little side bend here. You can feel the compression. If you have a lot of kinesthetic awareness, another good reason to do some of these things I'm getting ready to show you is to develop kinesthetic awareness in your body so you can make swing changes that you need. But sometimes you can feel the compression on that right side. Other times, if you look in the mirror, you'll notice one rib cage is a little lower, or maybe the pelvis is a little higher on that side. One way to assess yourself, which is really easy, is to stand, your feet shoulder width apart, and I want you to side bend one way and note how far you go down on your leg. You don't push it, just natural side bend, and then side bend the other way and note how far you go down on that leg. If you're paying attention to me, I go further this way, which means this side is looser. I don't go as far this way, that means this side is tighter. Why should you care about that? Because if that goes unchecked for years and years and years, you can be chasing things like back pain and hip pain and SI joint pain, and it's just a simple muscle imbalance. So let's say, for example, I could bend really far this way, and then when I come back this way, I can't go hardly far at all. I get jammed up and stopped, and I want to stretch this side here. A great way to do that, we can simply use the assessment to stretch it. Maybe take this hand overhead and stretch. And the key thing here is not to let your body twist, because that's maybe what it wants to do with your golf swing, but try to stay in the frontal plane and get that stretched. What I like to do is I like to take a exercise ball, something round like this, and it's unstable. It's really good for our bodies. But I like to take the ball and lay over it in the frontal plane and really let that side open up. I can kind of turn my chest up towards the sky to get some of the front side of those obliques. I can sit a little more in the frontal plane, right down the side. And lastly, I can drop my chest down a little bit and get that QL and some of those back extensor muscles that may be tight. Now, what I want you to do when you get in here is I want you to learn how to use your breath to stretch these muscles, which is great. So if I get in here and I take a big breath, and I'm really trying to let this rib cage on this side expand and get bigger with my breath, that can help us stretch this muscle. You know, a lot of people stretch with too much tension already in their body. So a key to stretching is relaxing. So if we take some deep breaths, relax, and stretch with some awareness, we can actually get in there and take care of some of those tight muscles that are stubborn. So there's one swing imbalance to talk about that I see is very common. It's common in me, and it's common in a lot of golfers I work with, and that's right side bend at impact makes these obliques on the right side and potentially the QL, quadratus lumborum, on the right side get tight, and that creates a little of a pull to the right look. So try that one out. Test yourself. Can you side bend fully equally to the left as much as you could side bend to the right? And if you can't, get those balanced out with that stretch. Something else I want to talk about is torso rotation. You know, in golf we should rotate back and through equally. However, we rotate through the ball with more force, more power, more muscle activity than we do with our backswing. So what can happen there is we can get an oblique imbalance on each side. When obliques work on opposite sides together, they help rotate us. So when I'm sitting here and I rotate to the left like this, my internal oblique on this side is firing, while my external oblique on this side is firing. And it's just the opposite the other way. So in golfers, we can get imbalances of the torso that turn us like this because we've taken so many swings. And that involves your left external oblique and your left internal oblique and your right external oblique. Now, one way to test that and to take a look at yourself, posture lines are wonderful. I won't pull that down now, but just a string hanging a posture line, it's wonderful to see imbalances there. Another way that we can test for this imbalance is to get on our exercise ball and just see if we can hold ourselves in the frontal plane without twisting for 30 seconds. And what you'll find if you do have a swing imbalance that most right-handed golfers have, you'll find that over time as you start to get tired, your chest rotates down because your dominant muscles are trying to get in there and work. So this is a good test. Hang here for 30 seconds. Try to keep your shoulders inside that window pane. I was just missing it there. And hold. Also, another way to notice this is you can look in the mirror sometimes and just notice your body rotated that way. So if that is the case, we need to use that same stretch, but we need to both sides. We need to stretch both sides now, our left side and our right side, to see what is tighter on each side and where we need to put our work in. You may find that one side is a lot tighter than the other, and if it is, sit there and stretch that side longer and try to make both the sides feel the same. So there's two imbalances there, mostly with the obliques because golf is such a rotational sport. We got side bending, same side obliques. We've got rotation, and it puts us into muscle shortening and tighten and puts us into a rotation. This right here can lead to all sorts of back pain, even some hip pain as well. Which leads me into my last one here to talk about, and that's going to be pelvic imbalances. So once again, because we turn our pelvis with so much more force to the left, and a lot of times a lot more to the left, you know, with our backswing, we want 45 degrees of rotation with our pelvis, and we want 90 degrees of rotation with our torso, so we can really get that elastic feeling to generate power. However, when we work through the ball, you can notice now my pelvis is rotated 90 degrees. So because your pelvis rotates more to the left if you're a right-handed golfer, you could see your pelvis rotated to the left, just like your torso was in the previous example. Your pelvis could get rotated that way too. This can lead to a lot of hip pain and also, once again, lower back pain. So how do we tell which hip we should work on? An easy way to tell if we have a little more tension in one of our hips, internals or external rotators, is by doing some windshield wipers with our hips. Now I want you to relax when you do this, nice and relaxed, and let's take our knees and let's rotate to the left and let's try to get each knee to the ground. Now you may notice that you have some difficulty doing that, particularly on the trailing side with internal rotation, especially if you're a male. I notice you're going to have a hard time getting here. So if I go to the left, I'm testing external rotation in my front leg and internal rotation in my right leg. Now if I go to the other way, if I go to the right, I'm testing internal rotation on this leg, my left leg, and now external here. And what's great about this mobilization is you can sit here and just do these back and forth. It's great for your hips, and just take each hip through external and internal rotation. Now if you have a side that's tighter than the other, and you notice that internal rotation is limited, let's say I move this way and this right leg could only go to right here, or if I move this way and this left leg could only go to right here, then I want to stretch my external rotators on that side because I'm limited in internal rotation. So it's got to be the muscles on the opposite side that are putting the brakes on, that are limiting my ability to go internally. So one of my favorite stretches for stretching the external rotators of the hip is just a simply 90-90 stretch. And it's called 90-90 because we get each leg at a 90-degree angle, and see my back legs at a 90-degree angle. Now one of the keys to this stretch that I notice people doing wrong all the time is they let their lower back down here flatten. So they get in here and they do the stretch like this, which is basically doing nothing. It's stretching your back more than anything. Big thing we want to do is use this arm as a kickstand, get our head as tall as we can, like someone's pulling our head with a string, and then I want to lay out over that front leg with keeping some arch in my lower back, some curve in my lower back. I do not want to flatten. I want to stand up as straight as I can, keeping that curve in the lower back and keeping that curve in the lower back and coming out and using this hand or this hand to pull and push me out and get a big stretch on the back side of that hip. Some of you may notice that you're just right here standing up nice and tall and it's stretching. That's fine. As you start to get looser, take that chest, keep it high, that head, keep it high, and move out over that leg to stretch those left external rotators. Same thing with the right, get into our 90-90 stance, 90 on the front leg, 90 on the back. Let's get nice and tall as we can. That string's pulling my head up, trying to keep some curve in my lower back. And let's move out over that leg, keeping that head high and that chest up, not letting the back round. Do not let the back round. Keep the back in extension. You know, another point here is look up. Anytime, our eyes are so powerful, if we take our eyes and look up, that's going to keep our extensors on, our back extensors, and keep us in extension. For example, take your eyes and look down. That'll pull your head down and into flexion. Take your eyes and look up. That'll keep you in extension. And that really helps us target those external rotators on each side. If you don't want to do that stretch, just sitting here and doing the windshield wiper drill back and forth as relaxed as you can is going to loosen up those hip joints for you. So use this to figure out where you're tight. Mostly it's going to be internal rotation. Some of you it'll be external rotation, but usually this trail leg's going to have a hard time getting down. So those are three of my biggest muscle imbalances that I see that form in the golf swing. You know, because of excessive right bend at impact, our right side obliques can both get tight, and the QL. We can learn to open that up. I taught you how to self-assess for that. Next up, because golf is such a rotational sport, our torso can get rotated by a tight internal oblique on one side and external on the other side, and we can kind of start adopting this posture of being twisted. Lastly, the same thing can happen with our pelvis. Because our pelvis comes back in this position to 45, but rotates through into this position to 90, we can develop a pelvic twist, a lateral rotation in the pelvis, same to match our torso. All these imbalances are important to learn how to take care of, because if you don't, you're just going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. And remember, the opposite joints will get looser, looser, looser. One maybe say weaker, weaker, weaker. And you'll notice, maybe not as much as when you're playing golf, but when you get off the golf course, you'll get a lot of pain, aches and pains the next day. And then another case would be these imbalances could start to cause pathologies. So when you're on the golf course, you're feeling pain, and when you're off the golf course, you're feeling pain as well. So if you think golf's causing you aches and pains, take a look at those three things. Try those stretches, see if they start to relieve your pain. And remember, every good stretch that we find for a tight muscle needs a good exercise, stability exercise, to strengthen on the opposite side of that. So stick around and I'll show you which muscles we need to start working on that we don't target in the golf swing that can help us balance back out. And that, my friends, is how you can build a body that can play golf for a long time, as long as you'd like, without your body breaking down on you.